Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to predict on the 3-game CSGO main slate on Thursday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking out NBA, NFL, and esports daily fantasy sports slates. Esports including Call of Duty, League of Legends, and this one Counter-Strike CSGO. We are now, if you're listening to this on YouTube, we are now at, or watching this on YouTube, I should say, we're now at 3.32 thousand subscribers. Again, if you guys would take a couple seconds every day, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell. It does really help me out to continue to put out free content for you guys every single day. And then if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, it's just the DK DFS show. Would appreciate if you leave a 5-star review or 5-star rating there. Again, those things do really help me out to continue to put out free content for you guys every single day. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we get into this 3-game slate for CSGO, and this is a really, really good slate. We have 6 of the, honestly, best teams right now in the world. This is going to be a really, I'm really excited to watch all these games. I'm really, really excited for this slate. But before we do that, what we can do is look back at my lineups here from Wednesday's slate. So first, let's look back at my lineup here from the late slate. So obviously, as you can see, it went really well for me in the late slate. This was a $100 single entry tournament. I think it was 8 or 9 people. Yeah. So what I wanted to do was I knew NIP and Liquid are going to be really chalky, right? So the way I wanted to differentiate myself was I wanted to play Cirque, who I mentioned in my video. I really liked his price. What I did was just do a 3-man NIP stack. They won 2-0 and then went 2 for Liquid. Who were absolute chalk. Liege 87%, I think Naf was like 70% in this one, and Twist. And then I wanted to play Cirque, right? That's the way I wanted to get different. Obviously, it worked out because EG. I watched the first little bit, and actually Liquid dominated the first map. The second map, from what I saw, was close, and then I didn't get to watch after that. But again, it paid out for me because Cirque did really, really good. Liege was solid. Twist was pretty solid for his price. So all in all, again, I can't complain at all. $350. And then if we look over to the main slate, also went pretty decent. I actually played cash games. So recently, or at least the last couple of days, I've been starting to get back into cash games. Now, if you guys haven't followed the channel or if you've been following the channel for a while, at the start, I was a big cash game player. I played a lot of cash games, probably 80-90% cash games, and maybe 10-20% GPPs. Now, recently, the last, 6 months or so, I've been basically just playing all GPPs because this is a whole other story. But NBA, I think playing cash games is almost not even worth it because lineup optimizers, everyone has the same lineup. It's almost like there's no edge. But I think in CSGO, there's still a little bit of an edge here. Yeah, for this main slate lineup, what I did was I wanted to get a little bit different. So I want Hunter in the captain spot. I knew he was still 50% owned. That was a lot higher than I thought. I faded Nexa. He was the best of the 3. He was the cheapest. He was, again, my preferred cash game play, but I guess I just want to get a little bit different and spend up and go Hunter in the captain spot. And it just seems like everyone follows suit and plays Hunter too, so I got to stop talking up Hunter because it seems whenever I do, he's always really high owned. But I want him and Kenny S. Again, Nexa was the best play out of those 3 for his price. I want Naf and Twist. Again, Liquid was super chalk. In this $25 double up, Naf was 100% owned. I think a Liege was 70% owned or so. Twist, again, he was pretty good for his price. And then I want Knock and Twist, another Twist. Those are the 2 cash game plays that I really liked on NIP for their prices, right? Twist was 6K. Knock was, 7.8, I think. Those are the 2 I mentioned for cash games. I played those 2 in cash games. They're really solid for the price. But see, if you played anyone on NIP, you were pretty good, right? I think Hampus was the lowest, but for his price, I think he was 5, or he finished with 55, which is really good for his price. So yeah, basically, if you want 2 or 3 NIP guys, you're probably in really good shape. But yeah, again, just missed the money in tournaments, but hit in this double up, and again, hit in the late slate big time. So that really helped me out to have a really good night. But that's basically the look back here. So now what we can do is we can look at the odds for these 3 games. So we only have 2 of the 3 out right now. Navi and Complexity, we have Navi minus 235 favorites. Just looking at that number, I know Navi has been good, but again, they're a really inconsistent team that can look really good, but they can lose to bad teams too. So I don't necessarily agree with that number from how well Complexity have been playing recently. Where I still think Navi should be favorites, but I don't think it should be minus 235. Then we have Vitality versus Faze. This one's basically a toss-up. Faze, the slightest favorites are minus 125, and we don't have Furia versus Liquid out right now. If I had to guess, I'm going to say Furia is going to be favorites. I would say probably minus 130 or so, slight favorites. Because if you look at their recent history, Furia have done better than Liquid. I think 10-4 history-wise, and recent form. I guess both teams have lost their most recent game, but I think I would give the edge slightly to Furia there if I had to come up with odds for that game. But let's now jump into it. So we'll start the first game here with Complexity versus Navi. Looking at these prices, Blame F at 8.6K. I mean, I talked him up that last slate when he was 9.5K. Now he's 8.6K. Sure, they're underdogs, but his recent form, right? I went through it in that last video. If you look at his last 5 games, even the last games on Draftkings alone, some of these aren't even the most recent games, but 65 and 53, 71 and 44, 70 and 57, 45 and 19. And again, some of these games aren't on DraftKings where he has absolutely been destroying. So I think he's underpriced. I think maybe he goes a little bit forgotten about in the slate because we have such heavy hitters. We have all like the top guys in the slate. We have Simple, we have Nico, we have Zaiwu, we have Elige, we have Quesarado, right? Arguably the 5 best players in CSGO. Like, we have all the top players in the slate. That's why I think this slate is going to be so fun to watch. I think it just makes it so Blame F goes very underowned. His price dropped about $1,000. His play has not stopped, right? He's been playing unbelievable Counter-Strike. So I really, really like Blame F for GPPs. Again, maybe if you're playing cash games, probably not a cash game play. But for his recent play and his price tag, you got to consider him. And I just think he's going to be low owned because we have Simple, we have Nico, we have Zaiwu. He's going to go under the radar. If Complexity win this one, right, it's most likely going to be because of a big game here from Blame F. Now, the other guys on this team, Rush is a stay away. Even on this slate, I just don't think I have consideration for him. Poison and Oboe are viable, but when they're priced pretty close to Config, I just don't really have that much interest. So my next favorite play here is definitely Config at 7K. I think, again, he's just going to be very low owned since they're pretty big underdogs. I mean, this whole Complexity team is going to be low owned. If you scroll through their numbers, again, obviously Blame F, I've talked about it. I talked about in my last video. He's been playing unbelievable. 0.76 kills per round, 0.55 deaths per round. You have Config not super far behind at 0.78 and 0.67, so you have those really good numbers. Now, Oboe, again, he's been decent too with the op. Not as many, kills per round, but still okay at 0.71 and 0.62, and you have Poison about a 0.69 and 0.63. So, yeah, not saying Oboe and Poison are out of play, but when they're priced super close to Config, I'm just going to prefer Config. So, yeah, I would definitely rank them for Complexity for my plays. Blame F1, Config 2. Not saying Oboe and Poison are out of play. I think Oboe would be my next favorite play if I had to pick one, but not like super high in them either. So now let's talk about the Navi side. So you guys know how I feel about this side. It's, Simple and Electronic really carry this roster, like really hard. If you look at their numbers, you have Simple, 0.87 kills per round, 0.59 deaths per round. Electronic, been in really good form, like the same form as Blame F. Been playing the best Counter-Strike I've seen from him since I've started following CSGO. 0.74 kills per round, 0.65 deaths per round. Everyone else, not good, right? Flamey, pretty negative. Boomage, pretty negative. Perfecto, pretty negative. So it's all about, again, how do you think the slate pans out? Navi are pretty big favorites. If you think they win 2-0, then I think you can make an argument for either Perfecto, Boomage, or Flamey, right? We saw it with Hampus today. And in that double up I was in, Hampus was like 70% owned. So it seems like the sharp players, they really go for those value plays in the games, in the teams that are the biggest favorites, right? So for that reason alone, I think Perfecto, Boomage, and Flamey might pick up a little bit of ownership. Now, I'm not really confident in any of them. It's just, how do you think it pans out, right? If you think Navi win 2-0, then yeah, you're going to want probably one of those 3 value guys. But if they lose or if it's a close series, more often than not, they're probably going to let you down. So yeah, we have Simple at 9.2, Electronic at 8K. it's getting close, right? That last slate we had simple above, I think 10K, electronic at 7.6K. I said I preferred electronic there. Now you're about $1,000 difference, and now it's a tough call. I know electronic's been in a really good form, but I might slightly prefer simple even for the extra 1,200. Again, it's close. It's really close. For how good electronic's been playing, it is really close. But I think I do slightly prefer simple for $1,200 more. Again, I like both those guys. If the Navi route's the route you want to go, we know where the production's coming from. It's simple and electronic. If they win, you're probably going to see big games from both those guys. So I have no issue playing both of them. I think I just slightly prefer simple if you're going to make me pick one from the Navi side. Now let's talk about Faze versus Vitality. Another, again, star-studded game here. We have Nico versus Zywoo. You have Nico at 8.8K, and I believe Zywoo is 9K. So let's break down those numbers a little bit, right? So the history between these two teams, it's pretty close, right? Faze 5-3. I don't think that's a huge difference there. Now, if you're comparing Nico's stats to Zywoo, right, not as good as Zywoo. 0.78 kills per round, 0.67 deaths per round, compared to Zywoo, who, again, like Blame F, like Electronic, are just playing the best Counter-Strike I've seen. He is playing unbelievable. 0.83 kills per round, 0.61 deaths per round. So if you're just comparing those two guys, just for numbers-wise, and you look at their prices, Zywoo honestly looks better, right? It's almost a toss-up. I think Zywoo's going to be higher owned. So I think Zywoo is probably your cash game play if you're going to make a pick between Zywoo and Nico. But for GPPs, I think Nico will go lower owned. And if that's the way you want to get a little bit different, you want to play Nico over Zywoo, I think it's viable. Or you can play both. I think you really can play both because, again, we know where the production is coming from these two teams. It's Nico most of the time for Faze, and it's Zywoo almost 100% of the time for Vitality. So, yeah, I think I like Nico. Maybe not a cash game play. I think, again, I slightly prefer Zywoo for how well he's been playing. And, again, he just has a little bit better numbers overall. But, again, I think you can make the argument to play both these guys if that's the route you want to go. Now, we have Brokey at 7.4, Cold at 7K, and Rain at 6.4K. I'm just going to... Cold Zero is definitely the guy for me, the number 2 guy here, if you're going to make me choose for Faze. He has the second best numbers. He's cheaper than Brokey. He's a little bit more expensive than Rain, but much better numbers than Rain. Again, I've said this a lot, but I think he is the second best player in this team. 0.7 kills per round, 0.62 deaths per round, compared to Rain, who's, $600 cheaper, 0.65 kills per round, 0.7 deaths per round. That's a pretty big difference. So, yeah, I really don't see myself getting to Rain unless you want to get super contrarian in GPPs. Now, the argument for Brokey and Cold Zero is a little bit closer, right? Cold Zero is a little bit more of the aggressive player. Brokey uses the op, sits back a little bit more. Again, I got to give the edge to Cold Zero there for, $400 cheaper. I think you can make the argument for Brokey and GPPs. Again, he has flash upside with that op. A little bit more inconsistent. So I think it would be for Faze, again, it would be Nico and Cold for me. But I think Brokey is still viable at his price point. BMOS is a guy that I can never get right. I've said it on Twitter a couple times. When I don't play him, he does really well. When I play him, he does terrible. 5.4K, he's a young guy. He's been very up and down. I think he's in play for GPPs. I don't know if I consider him in cash games, but again, he has flash upside to get you some decent. Where he put 82 fantasy points there against Navi. He went 45 and 30. Went 51 and 45 against NIP. That's really good for his price point. Now, he's also had really bad games, right? 32 and 39, 33 and 49. When I played him, I forget how long ago, it was a little over a week ago, he went 9 and 31, and I got 0-2 swept. Not good. So I think he's strictly in play for GPPs. If he's playing well, again, we have seen some decent games from him, but I don't think he's a cash game play for me. On the Vitality side, if you guys have been watching my CSGO videos for a while, you know how I feel about this team. It's Zywoo, who obviously is going to be very popular tomorrow, I think. He's going to be one of the most popular, if not the most popular player, I think, because of his recent form. Again, he's just been unbelievable, playing amazing Counter-Strike. 9K, I think that's still underpriced. His numbers, again, I went over them already. 0.83 kills per round, 0.61 deaths per round. He's just on another level right now. So I really like Zywoo at his price point of 9K. The other guys, that's where it's tricky. Shox, Apex, RPK, Misuta have all had decent games, but trying to predict which one is going to have a good game is so hard. Now, they're all priced pretty similar, right? Shocks is the highest price of the next guys at 6.6. Masuda, the lowest price at 5.8K. So it's really kind of a gut feeling. From what I've watched recently, actually RPK has looked the best in recent games, and he's at 6K. So I have some interest there. Again, you're really not going to feel great about it. I never feel confident about anyone below Zywoo. It's kind of just like a dart throw and hope they do decent. Again, I think what was it, a week ago I played Masuda, completely laid an egg. Went like 31 and like 58 or something. Had negative fantasy points for a while. So just like, yeah, I don't feel confident with any of these guys. If I had to pick one, it would probably be Shocks or RPK. And again, RPK has been in the best form recently. Now let's talk about Team Liquid and Furia. So this is the game where I think the price points look the best on these guys. Right, you have a Liege at 8.4K. That looks pretty good. NAF at 8.2K. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to get to NAF unless you're trying to get very contrarian in tournaments. When those two guys are priced about the same, you got to go a Liege. So I do like a Liege a good amount at this price point. Again, we don't have odds out for this game yet. If I had to guess, I would say Furia would be slight favorites. I think minus 130, minus 140, somewhere around there. But that doesn't make these guys out of play, right? Liege does really carries his roster. His numbers, 0.78 kills per round, 0.67 deaths per round. NAF has decent numbers, too, 0.73 and 0.62. When they're priced about the same, though, you just got to give the edge to a Liege there, I should say. So, yeah, definitely going to prefer Liege to NAF. Twist at 6.8K would be the next guy I would look to on Liquid if I was going to go play more than one guy, right? So you got about a $1,400 difference there with him and NAF. I much prefer Twist there. You got about a $600 difference with Twist and 2K. I would much prefer paying a little bit more for Twist. He's just got pretty good numbers for his price, right? 0.68 kills per round, 0.62 deaths per round. He was pretty solid today, even though they did lose. Yeah, I'm going to prefer him to NAF. I'm going to prefer him to 2K, who has looked okay with the op, but the numbers of the last 3 months, I just got to go the edge to Twist. And then Nitro, 5.2K, has actually been in relatively okay form. I think, again, if you want to go I think an interesting strategy, which we'll talk about in a second, is play someone really cheap in the captain spot and just hope they do decent, and then get all the other studs in you want. It's a very star-studded slate. So I could see taking a shot on a guy like Nitro. Again, his numbers aren't really great, but he's been in a relatively okay form recently. So you could make the argument there at 5.2K. It's a pretty cheap price point. And then lastly, we have Furia. They let me down the last slate. Again, very tilting because, again, I was touting MIBR multiple times against Furia in the past month or two. They lost every time. I finally go to Furia, and then MIBR win. It's like I can't. It makes you want to pull your hair out. But I still think Furia is one of the best teams, if not the best team, even though they lost to MIBR. They've been in really good form. Again, besides that loss, they've won the last 4 games against good teams. Liquid, 3-0, right? 100 Thieves, Triumph, Infinity. Some pretty good teams on there. Yeah, the price points look really good at these guys. Caserado was kind of struggled the last series against MIBR, but him under 8K, that is a really good price. Henny at 7.6 and Yuri at 7.2K. The price is just, it just really look good in this game, right? A Liege on the Liquid side, the top 3 guys on the Furia side. We know where the production's coming from, so I think getting this game right is key. If you can get this game right, and then obviously get the studs in the other game, right? Simple, Blame F, Zywoo, Nico. If you get this game right, I think you're going to be in really good form or in really good shape because of how cheap these guys' prices are. So, yeah, they look really good. With Caserado, Henny, and Yuri, they're all priced about the same. It's close. I think I would still rank it Caserado 1, Yuri 2, Henny 3, but it's really almost a coin flip for all those 3 guys. It's about how it works with your roster, right? If you make a roster and you have 7.3K remaining, then yeah, definitely go Yuri, right? Don't move things around. Go Yuri. Again, those top 3 guys, it's really close. They have all really good numbers. If you look at their numbers, Caserado, 0.73 kills per round, 0.56 deaths per round. Yuri at 0.75, 0.62. Henny at 0.7 and 0.56. So pretty similar numbers with all the 3 guys. It's really about, what works with your roster construction. If you want to go a 2-man Furia stack, then again, it looks pretty good with all the top guys under 8K. Art and Vinny. Art at 6K, again, he's flashed a little bit of upside. He's a very aggressive player, but when he's only like $1,000 difference from Yuri or 1,500 from Henny, it doesn't make sense to me unless it's just a dart throw GPP play. Now, Vinny, I could see at 5K, right? Because the argument which I'm about to talk about right now is play someone really cheap in the captain spot and then basically plug in all the other studs you want in. So if you want to go that route, if you want to go that riskier route, I could see, right? I could see you making an argument for that. But let's talk about the slate. Again, for captains, for cash games, really for cash games, it's probably the stars that I want. It's probably the favorites, right? So it's probably simple for me. Simple electronic, Nico, Zywoo, Elige, Tesserado, right? Those would probably be the guys I would consider for cash games. Now, again, an interesting strategy for GPPs is play someone really cheap in the captain spot, because if you play one of these top guys, which I think is, it's a safe approach. It's definitely a good approach. If you play like a simple in the captain spot, you have 7.2K remaining. You're probably only able to get like one, maybe two of these other guys in your lineup. But if you go the real, again, this is a super risky route, not a cash game approach at all, not even a single entry approach unless you're a very risky player. But let's just say we throw one of these really cheap guys in. So again, I don't really feel good about any of these guys, but let's just go with one of the big favorites, right? So either Navi, so let's just say we throw Flamey in there, right, at the captain spot. You have 8.5K remaining. The highest price guy is simple at 9.2K. You could literally basically just plug in every single stud you want in from there on out. So that is always a strategy. Again, it's a very, very risky strategy because you got to hit on the guy you put in the captain spot, the value guy. They have to have a good game. They basically have to 2-0. Otherwise, you're pretty much in rough shape. I think the cash game approach is to play one of those top guys in there. And then play a couple more of the studs and maybe get one or two in the mid-range and one or so value plays. But if you want to go that super, super contrarian option in GPPs and play one of those cheap guys and just hope they do decent, right? What you're hoping for in those super cheap guys is probably 50 or so. 50, 55 is a really good day for those guys that are really cheap. If you can get that, which would be, 70 or 80 in the captain spot, and then you just plug in the rest of the studs and they all perform like they should, you're probably going to be in really good shape. So that's why I think this slate is really interesting, because it's how star-studded it is. There's so many good plays at the top. But I think that is a viable strategy to play some really cheap in the captain spot and just hope they do okay for GPPs. But I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I'd really appreciate it if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Again, guys, hitting the notification bell does really help me out to continue to grow this channel. If you guys are interested in PGA golf content, I did upload a video for the RBC Heritage. We have a $1 million maker tournament starting at 6 or 7 a.m. tomorrow. So I do have a video up for that if you guys are interested. But thanks again for having to come and check the video. I really do appreciate it. I will see you guys all in the next one.